Hey, bucket lister, it is Trav Bell, the bucket list guy here, the world's #1 bucket list expert. And hopefully I've been introduced in the right way here. And thanks so much to the Expo community. Gary and his team have been absolutely phenomenal, and I'm stoked, really stoked to share this time with you. You know, it's really important that you understand that taking time out of your life to work on your life is really important. I'm not going to talk about business. Hopefully that's okay. What we're going to talk about is life. All right. I say a bucket list is a tangible life plan where our career plan or our business plan should fit into our life plan and not be the other way around. What is it? Live to work or work to live? Anyway, sometimes we get that confused, right? And for those of us on this call right now, watching this right now, a lot of you are entrepreneurs. A lot of you are very driven to succeed in your chosen job, career, business, right? Just imagine the amount of intensity and the tenacity that you show in building your business. Let's put that into your life plan as well. Again, a bucket list is a tangible life plan where your career plan or your business plan should fit into your life plan and not be the other way around. We need to, really get clear, and this presentation is going to help you do this. Get clear on your why, your reason to get out of bed in the morning. And that's why Gary and the team selected me as one of the speakers, because this stuff that I'm going to teach you has helped so many people over the last 10 or so years of me being the bucket list guy, running around the world doing keynote presentations, coaching kids to corporates and everyone in between, help them create and craft and intentionally design and live their bucket list life plan. All right. And I'll tell you what, when that's clear, when that's really fleshed out, that'll give you a purpose, motivation, enough inspiration to grow the heck out of your company, to get up out of bed in the morning, to make decisions, get off the fence, hire new people, scale, leverage, all of that good stuff so that you can live your bucket list life. This is going to be a big reminder of your why, of why you got into this thing in the first place and why you should continue to push more and more going forward. All right, so quick story. And hopefully you can see these slides here. And you like the little bucket list thing around my around my thing here? I'll see if I can move that around a little bit. And no. I'll go back. Here we go. All right. So quick story. This is a little bit about my why. And what I'm going to do is actually put my little head just there, right in the middle. Why not? And hopefully it'll be a little bit clearer and you can see everything. All right, there we go. So look, quick story. I'm in a place called Ocean Grove, about an hour and a half out of Melbourne, doing this virtual presentation for you right now. And I grew up here and swimmer, surfer my whole life, surf lifesaver my whole life. I'm adopted, and my adopted parents, they adopted me. I didn't adopt them, but my parents, they brought me to Ocean Grove. I've always known I was adopted. And my dad, my adopted dad, he adopted me, is a fitter and turner by trade, a wharfie, a man's man. And he's in these pictures here. And me, his adopted son, a serial entrepreneur. And it's funny because growing up, and you might be able to relate to this, but growing up, we didn't speak the same language, if you know what I mean. And we had our fair share of agreements and disagreements growing up. But it wasn't until we found ourselves on a plane, on a small light aircraft aimed for a little place called Melaleuca in southwest Tasmania, a little runway where the plane was going to drop us off and we would have our backpacks. The website said pack 8 to 15 days worth of food. Our mission was to get dropped off and then walk back along the Great South Coast Track, which is a big hike between 9 and 15 days, they say. Depends on how it floods in Tassie. to a place. Our destination was a place called Cockle Creek. It's actually where we're having lunch, just on that end picture there. A place called Cockle Creek, which, funnily enough, is the southernmost town in Australia. It's a bit weird down there, if you know what I mean. But it's the southernmost town in Tasmania in Australia. So we did this walk, and we're crossing over rivers, some small, and you get, big and really big, and sometimes you got to strip off to your jocks, put your backpack on, cover it, make sure it doesn't get waterlogged. We went up and down these huge, mountains. The tip of Tasmania is called the Ironbound Range. You go up for a kilometre, come back down for a kilometre. It's really gnarly terrain. It's a tough walk. So it took us just on 10 days to do this walk. And we're about 500 metres from the end. And this is about, over 10 years ago. And we're about 500 metres from the end, and I said to Dad, and I was walking frustratingly behind him on the boardwalk, about to finish, where you get your selfies, you have your lunch, you're finished, big milestone achieved. And I said, Dad, I've got something to tell you. And he said, yep. Didn't look at me. He said, yep. And I said, Dad, I've been wanting to do this. It's been part of my bucket list for the past 8 years. See, I've always had a list to do before I die since I was 18. Not a lot of people knew this about me. And I said to Dad, this has been on my bucket list for over 8 years. And what I thought was going to be a father-son movie moment, hug it out, and he went, yep, all right, and just kept moving, didn't even break step. And here I was sort of behind him waiting for the big hug. No, not a man of emotion, if you know what I mean. Anyway, I said we had our lunch, and there's Dad sitting next to me, and he said, Trev, what's got me thinking, what's a bucket list? I said, mate, it's all the shit you want to do before you die. And in what was a very pivotal moment, he turned to me with a little tear in his eye and said, I won't swear, but this has been effing special. Still no big father-son movie moment, hug, and still waiting. And we got on the bus back to Hobart, and Dad said, what else is on this bucket list of yours, Trav? It got me thinking. Once you pop, you can't stop, right? I said, I looked at, I'm getting out of personal training because for the 20 years previous, I was the founder franchisor of a chain of personal fitness training studios. That's how I met Gary back in the day and the team. And I had, 300 odd employees under that umbrella. I was the first to franchise. We had a chain of studios, helped tens of thousands of clients across Australia. Over 2 million personal training sessions. But I built it right up, that business, went through a bout of depression, and I'm sure some of you can relate to that story. But instead of going on heavy antidepressants, I decided to not sleepwalk through my life and go to the cause, not just put a Band-Aid over the top of it. So I got headlong into personal development. I went to every seminar, read all the books, and I really had to force myself to do it. Invested a lot of money, did ayahuasca, went to Burning Man, walked on fire, the whole personal development journey. And it was about 2 years into that journey, a friend of mine said, hey, Trav, you're at these weekends all the time, learning NLP, learning life coaching, or learning positive psychology, all this sort of stuff. Why don't you teach this stuff? And that was just a lightning bolt moment for me at that point in time. That's why I'm here. I'm meant to teach this stuff. So around that time, the world was going out from bricks and mortar businesses to online businesses. And here Tim Ferriss come out with his 4-hour workweek book, which is behind me. And he's running everything he's running his whole business from a hammock in Thailand. I'm like, oh, this is freaking cool. Versus all these gyms that I that I owned. So I made a pivotal decision. I'd fallen out of love of the gyms, and I pivoted into this. And I put on a talk in the back of that. And it was in that talk, my initial talk, I had about 40 people that I nearly had to pay to turn up to that talk. I started sharing to the people all the stuff that I've been learning, all the personal development, all my entrepreneurial history. And I started sharing the fact that I had a bucket list written down since, a list to do before I die, written down since I was the age of 18. I said, who else in the room has got one of these lists? I was like, no one, hands down. I was the only freak in the room. And it inspired the group. And then at the end of that presentation, Joe, one of the participants, said, how's the list to do before you die stuff? It's like a bucket list. You're like the bucket list guy. I went, ping, light bulb moment. And I went home and registered thebucketlistguy.com. Sold my businesses, sold out of my businesses over the course of about a year. Defranchised the whole thing and started doing more and more and more speaking. And it was around that time that I was doing this walk with Dad. I said, Dad, on the bus back to Hobart, I said, mate, I'm getting out of personal training and I'm getting into this thing, being a speaker, running around the world as the bucket list guy. So I've got all these things on my bucket list. And I know he was just like, is that even a job? Like, when are you going to get a real job? Seriously. He said, what else is on this bucket list of yours? I said, there's heaps of stuff. Anyway, long story short, a friend of mine who's a New Zealander, he's a mountaineer, like a serious mountaineer, and I ride with him. I used to ride with him, Grant. And Grant said, Trav, I know that you're this bucket list thing, you're really passionate about it, and I know that you want to go to Mount Everest. And I'm going to Mount Everest with an expedition team, and we're going through Tibet, and we're going to climb, go for it. I said, whoa, don't get me wrong, Grant. Look, I'm a surfer, mate. I don't climb big hills like that. He said, no, you can come with us. You can peel off at base camp or come up to advanced base camp through Tibet. I'm like, that was like the second thing. Go to base camp, Mount Everest was the second thing I ever wrote on my list to do before I die since I was 18, right? God, I'd love to go. How much is it? And he said, it said the amount. And I said, mate, I haven't got that money. He said, yeah, you know what? But you'll find a way. And I want you to write this down. When the why is strong enough, the how will work itself out. And funnily enough, it just somehow appeared. I actually put a deposit down on an apartment, and for some strange reason, the builder went bankrupt, and I got my money back, and I used that to go to Tibet and do this walk. So, Dad, yep, that bucket list we were talking about down in Tassie? He said, yeah. I said, mate, we're going to Mount Everest through Tibet. Trav, where the hell's Tibet? Part of China, not part of China. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But then he said, Trav, you realise I've never been out of Australia before. This is at the age of 68. You realise I've never been out of Australia before. And I said, exactly, mate. That's why we're going. Your bucket list will be all about you at the start, like it was for me. It's about me. Then it becomes about we. One of the reasons why I'm doing this presentation to you guys today, to you right now, looking down the barrel at you right now, one of the reasons why I'm doing this presentation is that nothing inspires me more than being able to help other people live a fulfilled life, one full of meaning, one full of adventure, one full of fun, one where they can then pay that forward and inspire their future generations. That's what it's about for me. Sure, I get to live my bucket list, but nothing makes me happier. And I want you to check in with me after you've done this, gone through this talk, and make sure that you're taking action on the stuff that you're about to learn here. That's so important to me. So the great thing is that Dad and I didn't stop at Tassie. Off we went. to Mount Everest Base Camp. Then, on the morning of my 40th birthday, that shot was taken of us at Machu Picchu just after doing the Inca Trail. I took another 15 bucket listers with us. Then we did Kokoda, unbelievable, Australian pilgrimage. And we finished the day before Anzac Day, you know, and then we did dawn service at the Bamana War Cemetery in Papua New Guinea, in Port Moresby. Oh my God. 3,000 white headstones of Aussies and New Zealanders. And then our latest one was Mount Kilimanjaro over in Africa after doing a game drive with Mum and Dad through Kruger National Park. This one actually nearly killed him. So we're at high camp. And we're going to sleep in the tent together and about to push onto the summit. He hadn't eaten. I got really bad altitude sickness over in Mount Everest. He was fine. But over in this one, I got mine back. I was fine and he was feeling shit. He hadn't eaten, hadn't drunk any water for 2-3 days previous to getting to high camp. And he was in the, and I'm going to swear here, but bear with me. We're in the tent. He was asleep, and I thought I'd killed him. He was grey. He was like washed out, and he didn't have a lot of nutrition in him. And I've shaken him just to see if he's still alive. And I said, Dad, are you awake? And he just looked at me through his eyes and gone, Trav, no more fucking hills. I was like, all right, no more hills. All right, cool. So our next adventure, if we're looking for a sea kayaking or adventure somewhere, the point being that him and I are best mates now. That's what's the most important part of all of this. So some of you have seen the Bucket List movie. I say this movie is shit because it's about two blokes that get given a cancer diagnosis and then they write their bucket list. I want to wake people up before they get given a use-by date, and hence why I'm doing this presentation with you guys today. I don't know why someone did that for me, and so I want to wake you up before you get given a use-by date. Now, here's the thing. I want to draw, just have a look at this, and just to make sure that we're on the same page here. And hopefully this is coming through okay. I want you to draw, if you haven't, I want you to draw 80 squares. All right, so it's a 10 by 8 grid. And I've got a book here. I've written this book. And I'll try and get rid of this background. It's a bit annoying. Maybe, maybe not. Oh, here it is. Oh, let me get rid of this background here. Maybe not. Anyway. This book, the My Bucket List Blueprint, there it is. Yes, no, it's not going to play ball with me. All right, so in there is 80 squares. So I want you to do this exercise for me. It's called a life grid. There we go. That's 80 squares. Boom. So I want you to draw that. We'll use the handout provided. And it's a 10 by 8 grid. Go for it. Push pause if you have to. All right. I'm assuming that you've done that now. Drawing those 80 squares. Cool. Now, if you haven't, like I said, push pause and draw those 80 squares. The average age, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news here, but we're going to draw some comparisons compared to what we, there we go. Oh, there's the background there. None. Oh, none and no blur. There we go. All right. We'll stick with this. All right. Boom. Back. Might be a little bit better. So we've got these 80 squares, as you can see behind my circle here. So the average age of death in Australia and America and the UK and wherever this is going is on average about 80. Well, it's 79 for us guys and 83 for you girls. So we're going to call it 80. We're going to call it 80 squares. So this, what you're looking at on my screen right now, is how long, on average, that a human being is alive on Earth. So what I want you to do right now, And you need to do this on a piece of paper. So literally, I want you to draw it out and cross off the ones that you've been alive. Start from the top down and left to right, please. Go for it. There we go. Put myself over there. Go for it. All right. Now, some of you who are a little bit older, this might take a little bit longer. So if you're 40 like me, half of them and a few more are gone. Now I'm 49 now, and I'm coming up to 50 soon. So I'm literally looking down the barrel at 3 more lines left. What is it for you? Make sure you do this exercise. Do not skip through this. Do not just do it visually either. I want you to put pen to paper. Really important. Beautiful. How does it make you feel when you've finished that? Yep. I've done this literally, in front of thousands and thousands of people around the world, tens of thousands of people around the world over the last 10 years. And it always has that gulp kind of, when you're north of 40, it has that real, it can be terrifying. The optimist in it, glass half full people, I've had a good life, I've got heaps of time, but really we do take our time for granted. But I want to really bring this home. I've got 3 questions for you. Question number 1. How many people do you know have been given how many people that do you know, that's the first question. I'm normally doing these in front of thousands of people. Do you know people who have been diagnosed or died from cancer? The answer is normally yes. Okay. Do you know people who have been diagnosed or died from cancer? The answer is normally yes. Question number 2 is how many people do you know have been diagnosed or died from cancer? And if we're in a big room, I'll get you to show your hands and then show your fingers. So, normally I'm looking around a room of say 1,000 people. I did a presentation to 650 on last weekend, and everyone had hands in the air. Everyone had multiple fingers. So I'm sure if we were online right now, we could see everyone. I want you to show your fingers or put into the chat right now. How many people do you know in your circle of influence? How many people do you know have been given a cancer diagnosis? How many people do you know? Is it 3? Is it 4? Is it 5? Is it 10? Last question is how many of them made their 80 squares? Not as many. Now, I've presented this in places like South Africa, India, Cambodia, Vietnam, Portugal, Costa Rica, Mexico. In some of those countries, especially the first 4 I mentioned, I had the not so good privilege of presenting just 70 squares over there, not 80. But guys, same result. It's terrifying to look across the audience when everyone in these countries are holding up the same fingers as we are here in Australia. We don't know when our time's going to run out. So if you are listening and really getting this, you're probably now understanding how little time you've got left and how much you've been taking this time that you have left for granted, right? You owe it to your kids, you owe it to your family, you owe it to yourself to live your best life. Seems like a hashtag, doesn't it? But live your best life and have a regret-free life rather than a regret-full life. and to act as if. Let this be a virtual cancer diagnosis. You deserve it. You deserve to live fully, die empty. And you know what? Be the example, the fun, adventurous, going after an example that you want for your kids to learn from. Some of you are providing the worst example possible. Step up, be a bucket lister. I want you to graduate today as a bucket lister and be the example for others to follow. Because, let's be honest, COVID, the pandemic has taught, we were already depression was already going through the roof. The overprescription of antidepressants already going through the roof. Anxiety, suicides, youth suicides going through the roof. We've even got this thing now, you want to Google it, called the loneliness epidemic. It's a real thing. And then you go through you throw the pandemic and coronavirus and lockdowns in on top of all that, you've got yourself a mental health perfect storm. Ladies and gentlemen, guys, if you're watching this, you need to be the light for other people to follow. You need to be the example for others to follow. We need you out there. All right? We need you to be a bucket lister. And by being a bucket lister, I mean your glass half full, not half empty. Stop just existing and start living. Stop living by this default and live by intentional design. We need you out there. All right? When you get clear on this, when you start living this, I'll tell you what, the impact, the flow-on effect, the waterfall effect that it has on your business, you'll make decisions quicker. You'll get off the fence. You'll hire that person. You'll scale. You'll leverage. You'll get on with it. I'm doing 5 things on my bucket list that pulls me out of bed in the morning. I don't have to get pulled out of bed in the morning. I don't have to push myself to get out of bed in the morning. There is no Monday-itis. There is no hump day. There is no thank God it's Friday. There's no sinking feeling at 2 or 3 in the afternoon on a Sunday. People have bought into this 40-40-40 plan. 40 years of your life of 40 hours a week to live on 40% of what you earned at your peak. People are dying at 40 and being buried at 80. Write that one down. People are dying at 40 and being buried at 80. All right. There's your motivation session. Let's go. All right, so come on, Trav. I didn't come here to. Who bought the motivation speaker? I don't speak. When people say, "Oh, you're a motivation speaker," I say, "No, I talk about reality. That's the facts. That's the facts." Here we go. We're going to build a future bucket list, but first we've got a reverse bucket list to build. So a reverse bucket list is everything you've done in your life as if it weren't a bucket list all the way along. This is a big gratitude exercise. Everything that I'm teaching today is based on positive psychology, right? It's what's helped me out of depression. I built this for me. I wrote the book for me. I do the talks for me. And just so happens it's helped a truckload of other people in the process as well. Live a more fulfilled, meaningful, purposeful, more grateful life. We start with this reverse bucket list. Right now, I want you to list just 3 things that you've done in your life as if it weren't a bucket list all the way along. All right, if you want to stretch it out, write 5 things that you've done. It gives us a really solid foundation. And my suggestion is that you also keep building out your reverse bucket list. So you've got 3 bucket lists, and they're all in the book that I'll talk about at the end. You've got a reverse bucket list, which is your done list. Keep ticking stuff off your future and put it onto your reverse. And when times are tough, it's really cool to look back on your reverse bucket list and all the cool stuff you've already done, and it gives you a sense of completion. It gives you a sense of success and gratitude. You got your future bucket list, so you get reverse, you got your future, and you've also got this other list called a fuck it list. That's everything that you do not want to do. I've been to Mount Everest. I didn't go to the top. I just went to advanced base camp. I already had really bad altitude sickness, like the worst hangover you can get for days and days. and I look 2Ks north up in the sky, I'm like, fuck that. That's coming off the list. And I don't know if I'm meant to swear on this or not. Look, it's literally in the book. And that's all the stuff that you do not want to do. All right, rules of writing. Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. I think it's in here somewhere. Probably at the end here. I'll just show you, just so I travel adventures. Here we go. Maybe, yeah, it's in there somewhere. I'll find it. Take real action. Oh, here we go. Look at that. There we go. It's got a chapter written on it. The effort list. Boom. Anyway, I digress. 3 to 5 things on your reverse bucket list. Go for it. And then we got the My Bucket List Blueprint. The My Bucket List Blueprint I created. I've done a TED talk around that. The book is all about it. I'm going to go through and give you the skeleton of this. And then I want you to go put meat on the bones. All right. I want you to, I'm going to make you accountable through this too. I want you to send your bucket list to me. There's book number 2. I'm on the hunt for 365 bucket lists from random people around the world. So the My Bucket List Blueprint I created to help people go north, south, east, west in their own brain and help them to extract and articulate a personally meaningful and holistic bucket list. All right. So we're going to go through this. And you got more resources at the end that we can really flesh this thing out. But My Bucket List Blueprint, here we go. So I'm going to go in a non-linear way. So why? So write my bucket list down, and I'll just put myself over there and make this smaller. You can see the pics. That'll do. Shall we go over here? All right, boom. All right. My Bucket List Blueprint. We're going to start with why. Write these ones down. So write my bucket list down, kind of like that. If you can see that there, my bucket list. This acronym. A lot of people think bucket list is all about travel, but travel takes a lot of time and money, right? And we're waiting till someday, the perfect time, in order to make that stuff happen. I want people to be happier now. People live in a world of delayed gratification. I'll be happy when syndrome. I want you to be happier now so we can reverse some of these mental health stats and have you have that feeling of fulfillment now rather than wait until it's too late. So I know on the back of any sort of diagnosis, people suddenly pivot and have suddenly got all the time, the resources to make all the stuff that they want to do happen, come to fruition. So let's act as if right now. Y stands for your proud achievements, your proud achievements. What do you want to be really proud of before your time is up? Level of education, a business award, starting a business, selling a business, doing a TED talk, doing a presentation. E stands for express yourself. This is the creative side of you. Design and build your own house, design a tattoo, book, music, song, whatever it might be, art, photography. U stands for ultimate challenges. What are the small, medium, big, physical, and maybe intellectual challenges that you can do for yourself? One of the things that I'm doing at the moment, if you can see these books behind me, I'm reading 52 books in 52 weeks. I'm reading 52 books in a year. I started it during COVID. I'm nearly finished. It's been a full-on challenge. Has it made me any smarter? The jury's still out on that. But ultimate challenges. On the other side of your bucket list is a you that you don't know yet. Write that one down. On the other side of your bucket list is a you that you do not know yet. M stands for meet a personal hero. Who do you want to meet before your time is up? Champion of a cause, having lunch with Tim Ferriss like I did. A sports star, movie star, a favourite author. Meet a personal hero. B, buy that special something, whether it be for yourself or for someone else. The only materialistic part of this, buy that special something. Take a photo of that. Let's connect on the socials too. C, conquer a fear. There's a big story here. I won't go into it right now, but what are those fears that you want to conquer? or get dared to do and you say yes. Being a nude model for an art class was one of mine. Have a look at the TED Talk. It's called Life's Too Short by Trav Bell. I go into the story of that. Could it be speaking? Could it be just creating your own YouTube channel? It's the emotional roller coaster that you go to. You step up to the plate and you overcome. That's what you can map into other areas of your life. And I'm sure it has a ripple effect into your business. Conquer a fear. Okay, kind acts for others. Is there a champion of a cause out there, or a cause or something that you're really pissed off about that you want to put some more attention into? So this is completely different to buying that special something or travel, isn't it? How do you, I'm assuming that you're a nice person. How can you step that game up? Creation of your own foundation, putting time and money and effort, into something that you're really deeply passionate about on a local, national, international level. Personal favourite of mine, there's the socials again. Idiotic stuff. I know there's a 21-year-old backpacker still within you. Let it out. Have some more fun, even though you're grown up with mortgages and kids. Take lessons. What are some skills that you want to learn before your time is up? Musical instrument. I'm learning Spanish at the moment, thanks to Duolingo, whatever it might be for you. Satisfy a curiosity. What do you want to taste, touch, smell, feel, experience before your time is up? Gets weird, this category. Travel adventures. What are the big travel adventures? The small ones, be a tourist in your own hometown first. There's some of the advice that I've given during COVID when we haven't been able to move around. Travel adventures. And L is leave a legacy. What's your footprint? How do you want to be remembered after you're gone? For me, leaving a legacy could be a family heirloom through to a foundation. For me, I've got bucket list coaches running around the world with our ticket before you kick it signs. There you go. Who are teaching my stuff, which is pretty cool. There we are, all running around the world. Leave a legacy. And I was invited actually to do a presentation for the Reach Foundation, which is set up by ex-AFL footy player Jim Steins. Unfortunately, he's died. And but he left this amazing legacy called the Reach Foundation. I did a presentation for the leaders of the Reach Foundation, no one over the age of 21 in that room and in that photo. And I did a presentation very similar to what I've done with you guys today. And at the end, this is down in Collingwood, one of the young girls got up, and she was absolutely bawling at the end of it. I said, "What's wrong?" She said in front of everyone, "If my younger sister had been here to see your presentation today, she wouldn't have killed herself 2 weeks ago." That floored me. But it was the day that I really cemented my why. So I want to thank Gary, the rest of the team, Josie, for putting all this together. I want you to pay this stuff forward. More importantly, I want you to live it. Live it for yourself. Be the example for others to follow. Guys, here's where you can connect with me. We've got a complimentary Your Bucket List Life Facebook group. You can get a book, a signed book. I'll send one of those out to you. It's been an Amazon bestseller. And you can also join our buildyourbucketlist.com.au challenge that we run every single month. It's free, complimentary. Get amongst it, and I'll see you on the inside of those challenges. You send me any messages that you want as well, guys. Thanks heaps. Thanks to the team. I'll see you on the inside of this challenge. Can't wait to meet you all. Bye.